Welcome to After the Poll, the video series where I take all the comic books that I read for the current comic book week, except the new number ones, and just discuss them with you all and give you my thoughts, and I grade those comics. Now, if you guys want to hear my thoughts on the newest issue 1 comic books, the Worthy Ones series, I'm going to leave you a video at the end, or I'll leave you a card up top here that you can click on and check out the video there. So guys, before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to MutantBeaverComics.com. Guys, they have over 4,000 exclusive variant covers in their store. If you love collecting variant covers, go ahead, check them out, guys. I have a promo code in my link below. It's called Slayer15. When you use that code on checkout, you'll save 15% off of that purchase. And also, not only the first purchase, but every other purchase after that. So guys, what are you waiting for? Check out MutantBeaverComics.com for all your variant covers. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started with this week's episode of After the Poll. Well, we're going to talk about Savage Dragon, issue 267, done by Erik Larsen. Let me tell you guys, I think it's truly been like a year since an issue of Savage Dragon has come out, and I couldn't even tell you the last thing that happened in there. Maybe there was a proposal, because we got, I think, which is Frank and Angel in this issue, getting ready to get married. Now, I can't show you really anything in this comic book because there is some explicit stuff that happens in this comic that is not appropriate, and what this comic is about these two committing to their relationship, actually you know, saying, oh my god, this is it, I'm gonna be with one person for the rest of my life type of situation. And they go all wild and crazy, and you know, there's stuff going on in here that's, again, really insane. And so yeah, I can't really show you anything through the main story here. Now, there's 100 pages, and it's not 100 pages of the wedding. It's actually mostly about a character of Vanguard, which is a little bit disappointing for me, because when there is, you know, a book that hasn't come out in almost a year, you would expect the 100 pages to really focus around Savage Dragon and his universe and his story, not some other characters, right? Now, I know like Savage Dragon pushes the envelope and stuff like that, but it's just something different. It's funny at times. The story is great. The characters are creative. But for this issue, this book isn't it fails in so many levels. I don't want a book that comes out only once a year that has a 20-something page story, and it's just like X-rated stuff. It doesn't accomplish anything here. So as a Savage Dragon fan, I'm definitely disappointed, and I don't even know the next time I'm going to get another issue. Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, issue 4. So this is the 4th issue in this like Spider-Man series where he's going against like darker opponents, where I guess we're being introduced to more and more 2099 characters. Whether this sets up for like an ongoing 2099 series, it's still yet to be determined. Now, when it comes to Terror, like, I've never been a fan of this character. I don't know if even some of you guys heard of Terror before, but this is 2099. He's been around forever, okay? And in this comic book, you get introduced on who he was. Like, he takes on this like bear-like creature, and then what happens is he kills it, but he's been cursed. He basically becomes this creature, and he's been this creature forever. He lives eternally, but his like flesh decays, so he always has to find like multiple pieces of himself to replace as time goes along. So you get that introduction, which is kind of cool, right? But then from this point on out, it's basically just a fight between Terror and Miguel O'Hara. So if you like action, you might actually like that, which is kind of cool. But I felt like this book didn't really give any growth to the Spider-Man 2099 character, which I'm kind of looking for. And I just didn't want some pointless fight, because that's all this book is. And pretty much that's what all this series is. It's just a bunch of random one-shots, and Miguel O'Hara just goes to the next villain of the week, right? It doesn't ever accomplish anything towards the character. And it'll be even worse if like we don't get an ongoing or nothing becomes out of this and they're just pumping out these, you know, villains of the week type of books. So I feel like they can do the character better. I just don't know if they know what to do with it. So, you know, when it comes to grading this book, I just gonna give this one a C. It's okay, it's fun, but it's not like the best. I like want something more for such a popular character that came out of the movies, right? I feel like they can do him more justice. So I don't know, we'll see what happens in the final issue of this. I think we got Man-Thing next. The Punisher, this is issue 3. This is a 32-page comic for $5. This book is written by David Pepose, and the art is done by Dave Watcher. The artwork is pretty good in this comic. This is more of a horror-toned feel type of issue where we get the reintroduction of Fearmaster in this comic book, okay? So if you know Fearmaster is a longtime Punisher villain, but this time you don't get the original Fearmaster, you get his daughter. And his daughter is basically I want to say like a Scarecrow ripoff in the biggest way. This thing has got like mist that surrounds it and everything else, and it's just causing all these hallucinations. George Garrison can't seem to do anything right, and then we get to see this battle commence between the two, and Frank Castle is forced to do something that maybe he shouldn't have done by the time you wind up getting to the end of this issue. But this issue for me was basically mostly filler to get to his next point and objective, to obviously find out more of what happened with his family and why his wife did the things that she did and stuff like that. And it looks like the next person he's going to come across is Jigsaw. Now, for me, this book was a C at best. This was my least favorite of the series so far. I know a lot of people are saying this is a ripoff off of Frank Castle. There's nothing really different, and the book is not doing anything different here. It's just kind of having another character from an old Punisher series that doesn't, you know, stray away from the original material. I think if you need Joe Garrison to be in this comic book, he needs to have his own identity, his own thing, and stuff like that. And even though they're trying, they're still bringing Punisher people in the series. Just bringing new villains that, you know, we haven't seen before, not like knockoffs or ripoffs and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. Hopefully this can steer in the right direction, and we'll see how it goes. But I want to know in the comments below, what do you guys think of Punisher so far? Universal Monsters Dracula. This is issue 4, the final issue. This is a 32-page comic for $5, written by James Tynion. The art is done by Martin Simmons. The artwork is, again, this like airbrush, like painted style. Sometimes it's kind of hard to make out what's going on, but the art is just very, it has its own feel. Like, you know, this artist has this style of artwork where you're just like, wow, this is definitely different, right? Creepy character expressions at times as well. And again, this is just the conclusion to this series that has been pretty good. I am a fan of Universal Monsters. I go to Halloween Horror Nights every year, and one of my favorite houses that I go to is actually the Universal Monster House, and I always can't wait to see the actual Dracula and Frankenstein and werewolf in these houses, right? And Dracula tends to be the best one. Now, this issue I felt a little flat for me, because I was like, oh, how are they going to end a Dracula series in like 4 issues, right? Well, you wind up getting to see just basically a final confrontation between Van Helsing and Dracula. It was very, I guess, underwhelming in my opinion, and it was actually kind of hard to make out at the end of this issue, like, did he actually die? Did he not die? You know, but I'm pretty much thinking that, you know, Dracula gets stabbed and he kind of dies. I guess that's what that looks like right there, right? From Van Helsing. So that was interesting. You wind up getting to see this one character that's been in the book from the very start, who was a servant to Dracula. He actually winds up dying as well. So it was an okay series overall. It was very different. I like seeing these writers have their take on these classic monsters, and I think the next one is going to be the Black Lagoon one. So yeah, at the end of the day, when I rate this series as an overall series, you know, I think I'm going to give this one probably a C+. Like, I liked it, but it wasn't like the greatest thing I ever read. It would have been interesting to see how this series would have worked, maybe with a different artist. Again, I like the distinct feel and in how the art was different, but maybe it could have been even better with just more detailed art, better visual, right? I don't know. That's just my thought there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Spider-Woman, this is issue 3, obviously connected to the gang war. This is written by Steve Fox. Corella Barella is the artist on this comic. It's 28 pages for $4. The artwork is pretty good in this comic. Not bad. I like the colors. I like when Jessica Drew uses her powers in this comic book as well. We also get Julia Carpenter in this issue, which was actually a lot of fun. I'm a fan of the character, especially when she was Spider-Woman back in the day. I love that black and white costume, right? But in this issue, this focuses more on Jessica searching for her son Jerry. And that's really what this focal point has been about. And I feel like this comic does a lot better when it's, you know, strays away from the gang war and it focuses her mission at hand. And in this comic, we wind up getting to see Jessica actually, you know, go to Julia, and, you know, she's telling her story and things like that, and they figure that Hydra is behind the whole situation with Jerry, okay, her son. And like, they're like tapping into his powers, and they think they kidnapped him and all those things and stuff like that. And when you get to the end of this issue, you're just kind of like, oh man, what a punch in the gut. It is just so heartbreaking, especially as a mom who wants to care and nurture for that child, right? And you get to see what happens at the end. You just can't help but say, man, that freaking sucks for Jessica, right? So this story was much improved in this particular issue. So I'm going to give this one a solid B. I think it's heading in the right direction. And then once Gang War ends, I can't wait to see the continuation on how this bad boy goes. The Bone Orchard Mythos Tenement, this is issue 8. This is a 32-page comic for $4, written by Jeff Lemire, artwork done by Andrea Sorrentino. These two together have come up with multiple series in the years and delivered every single time. I love when they team up together and do comic books. And this one is a horror-based comic where we've wind up getting to see a bunch of tenants that live in this apartment complex that turns into this like hell, and they're trying to find their way out of this hell. And again, they're all connected to this universe. And each issue, we've been seeing different floors. And in this particular issue, it's floor 3. And now they're heading towards floor 2. Now, there's a major character in this book, an older gentleman, that's kind of like the key to everything that's been going on, which is quite interesting. And also, the cast of characters in here are pretty awesome as well. If there's a little bit of a downfall, I would have loved to see a little bit more of the characters fleshed out, but they do have their own personalities and their own quirks and their own differences, but you just don't see it enough. And I'm curious if this series would actually read better in trade than it would read in a monthly series. Nevertheless, great book. Highly recommend it. This is another solid B for me. It's always interesting to see the direction this book goes in. And there's one character in here, Asian guy, is, again, he's absolutely hilarious in this book. But yeah, check out Tenement, guys, if you haven't yet. Green Arrow, this is issue 8. This is a 28-page comic for $4. And this comic book is written by Joshua Williamson, and the penciler is done by Phil Hester. Sorry, I was a little distracted by the garbage people out there. Every day it's something, man. And it's freaking freezing outside in this garage. It's like 50 degrees out, and I'm doing this video. But anyway, back to Green Arrow. Here we go, guys. So Phil Hester is an artist that I've seen before. He did a series with Jeff Lemire, and it was about trees. It was like people turning into trees, and I totally forgot what it's called. So the artwork was pretty good in this one. In this issue, you wind up seeing Ollie and Connor team up. They're doing a fight against, excuse me if I can't say it right, I get corrected on a lot of my pronunciations. Like, I should be named the name butcher or the name slayer, or just can't pronounce my English right. So onomatopoeia. That's who they're fighting against. I'm not familiar with the character. I don't have a lot of history with DC Comics because I didn't read them when I was a kid. So we get to see the assassin guy wind up going after him. There's kind of like a bait and switch type of thing going on in this comic. But really the big thing that happens in here is like Green Arrow and Connor, I should say Oliver and Connor, are looking for Roy because he's gone missing. And we find out what has happened to him and where he's gone and like what's going on with him by the time you get to the last page. And I'm just going to let you know that, you know, your jaw is dropped a little bit because you wouldn't expect this. But I have a hunch on why he's in the certain situation that he's in right now. So obviously another really good comic book. I think Green Arrow has not let me down yet. Again, the artwork is a little bit inconsistent when it comes to artists on it, but curious to see the direction of where the comic goes, like all my comics, right? Definitely a solid series from DC, one of the good ones out. So at the end of the day, what am I going to grade this one? I'm going to grade this one a B+. I'm really enjoying it as well. Superior Spider-Man, this is issue 3. This is written by Dan Slott. The artwork is done by Mark Bagley. This is a 32-page comic for $5. When it comes to the artwork, it's what you can expect from Mark Bagley. I think it looks really cool. I think Superior looks really nice. We got this Supernova chick that's, you know, the new villain in the Spider-Man universe in this comic. And I'm really enjoying the read in here, right? We get to see Doc Ock's like minglings, I guess that's what he calls them, waiting for him to return to his secret base. They're like his diehard soldiers and whatnot. So again, the art looks good. The colors look nice. What was this story about this time around? Well, for me, I really enjoyed this one because what it did was it caught readers up on what Dr. Octopus went through from the point of when he was Superior Spider-Man to the point of becoming Dr. Octopus before, and Peter was figuring out all those formulas. And what's going on here is that Peter and Doc Ock are kind of forced to work together in order to rescue Anna Marie Marconi, I think her name is. That was Doc Ock's girlfriend when he was Superior Spider-Man. And Peter is willing to go along with the team up to rescue her because Doc Ock actually sacrificed himself, and he's never sacrificed himself for anything in the past. So they have to rescue her from Supernova. So in order to do that, we have to see Peter wear the Superior Spider-Man suit once again. And he has to go into Doc Ock's secret base, and Dr. Octopus is basically in his ear guiding him in the right directions. And he has to like pose as Superior Spider-Man so his superiors, or his inferiors I should say, should, you know, get along with him and stuff like that. It's just hilarious, the whole battle that went through. We do get to see a little bit of history in this comic book going way back to early Amazing Spider-Mans. I like the Amazing Spider-Man issues. I like the nod to it. I like the action to it as well. And by the time you get to the end of this comic book, this is a little spoiler here, there's no surprise though, like Doc Ock basically betrays Peter, and he's trying to become Superior Spider-Man once again. So I really enjoyed this book. This is a must read, my favorite issue so far of the run, and I'm gonna give this one an A-. This is really good. Sometimes Dan Slott can, you know, tend to over-explain things, and it's just like, all right, let's go, let's move along here. But it was okay, it's fine. You know, I like this. I'm curious to see now if the switch is going to happen once again. I don't know. I think Peter's going to escape. Titans Beast World, this is issue 5. This is a 28-page comic for $5, written by Tom Taylor. The artwork in this issue is done by Ivan Reis, and you know, the artwork looks great. I love the facial expressions in here. I love the way all the characters look. There's some really good fight scenes in this comic between Nightwing and Peacemaker, which I think are awesome here. Good character faces as well when it comes to like emotional situations, which I really like. Like, look at that. That's awesome, man. Looks really, really good, right? So in this particular issue, obviously Raven is dealing with the loss of Beast Boy, and hopefully you did read it. I'm sorry if I just spoiled that for you. But who's to say that Beast Boy doesn't come back, right? This is comic books. We've seen characters come back by the time an end of the event happens these days, or shit, they even come back in the same comic. So I'm not surprised if the character will come back. But great emotional issues there between, you know, with Raven and stuff like that. Good fight scene between Nightwing and Peacemaker. And obviously Amanda Waller is the one that's behind everything. We've seen her in this entire series. And I know a lot of people out there are getting frustrated with her being like the main evil villain in the DC universe, right? I can understand that. She's like an overused character because of her popularity in Suicide Squad. To me, it doesn't bother me that much. I just kind of overlook it a little bit. It hasn't taken away the overall main story for me, right? The big thing though that I thought was a little bit corny was the end of this issue, the reveal on who this Dr. Hate character actually is, and I wish they didn't do that. I wish it would have been something different, because when it comes to, I'm just going to say, repeating characters or having different versions of the same character, it's so overdone, and I just wish we had something different at the end. But overall, the series has been really good. I've enjoyed this issue. Just not quite nearly as strong, but I'm gonna give this one an A-. This is a fun read like usual, and I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with the conclusion to all this. So yeah, Titans Beast World issue 5, if you haven't read it, man, I say go out, read the whole entire series, because I think you'll have some fun with it. So there you have it, webheads. There are all the comic books now that I read for the current comic book week. I want to hear in the comment section below, would you like the most, would you like the least? Hopefully you're digging the After the Pull series. I love bringing it to you each and every week. And as always, guys, here is the other content right here that I promised, worthy ones, where I talk about the newest issue ones of the comic week. And as always, guys, support the local comic shops, keep buying, keep collecting, but more importantly, always read those comics. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Thank you as always for watching. Take care. Bye.